Good evening to everyone, all the audience. Welcome for this wonderful program on communication management. Today with us, Mr. Abhinav Kanchan is there, and he is the senior vice president and corporate heading the corporate communications, and he is having very much good passion about the training the people and all. We were actually good friends, and we thought, why can't we conduct a program? This is the first program which is not related to technical, but it is a soft skill which is required for the projects. We thought, why can't we conduct this particular program? I approached sir maybe a week before. He immediately told for our students, definitely I can allocate some time. So today sir is with us, and sir's detailed by CV. Our good friend Nikita is going to share with you. Yes, Nikita. Sir, we welcome on behalf of Prayojana for this wonderful platform. And this is the 36th session in past maybe 40 days. Daily one particular topic we are covering, small topics we are picking up, daily 1 hour sessions we are started with. And such on this series, this is the 36th program and first program on the soft skills.
Okay.
And Nikita, you can brief about sir's biodata to our people, audience.
Yes, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good evening, everyone. Myself, Nikita A, studying third year civil engineering in Aditya Institute of Technology and also pursuing internship in Prayojana Engineering Services. So, on behalf of Prayojana team, I'm very much honored and overjoyed to take the opportunity to introduce our speaker of the day, Mr. Abhinav Kanchan sir, who merely needs an introduction though. Mr. Abhinav Kanchan is the Senior Vice President and Group Head Corporate Communications at SOBHA Limited, one of the most trusted and admired real estate brands in India today. He has 24 plus years of rich experience in strengthening brands and setting strong communications framework at FICCI, the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, and also in Aditya Birla Group, ArcelorMittal India, Moser, Baer, and SOBHA Limited. He is a sector neutral and is very passionate towards creating immense value at work, engaging with media, digital media, employees, stakeholders, counseling senior management, introducing a collaborative work culture, building organizational reputation, helping achieve strong financial KPIs, and creating unique marketing communication assets with positive impact for the company are some of his core strengths. He has a very good academic background also. He has pursued BA Honours and Master's degree from St. Stephen's Delhi University and also MSc in Media Management from the University of Stirling, UK as a Chevening Scholar. In addition, he has specialized training in journalism, mass communications, organizations of Tokyo and India. He has just completed an advanced diploma in business management from AIMA with high grades and is pursuing a doctoral program in business management, value creation through credible and trustworthy communication practices in his forte. He is a very good communicator, a trainer, a motivator, having a great eye for detail, a multitasker with a calm head. He is self-driven, a thorough team player, committed and achievement-oriented. So this is a small brief note on Mr. Abhinav sir in his impeccable journey in the industry. With all that being said, I welcome sir to share this knowledge on the communication which is very much required for the industry in our construction field. And I also welcome all the participants with a request to mute your audio and video in the session. Thank you, sir. Now this mic is all yours and you can go ahead.
Thank you, Nikita. And good evening, young friends. This is Abhinav here. I'm very happy to be with you today. This is my first interaction with you. And this is going to be an orientation in communications. As you know, that you are already a trained civil engineer. But if you have communications with you on your side, it will stand in good stead with you throughout your life. So engineers primarily use their left brain. They're analytical, they're logical, they add value. Without them, we'll not be having bridges, roads, buildings, world's most of the comforts that we see. Without you guys, nothing can be there. But if you also add a bit of right brain there with communication skills, it will be like in Hindi they say sone pe suhaga. It will be like a cherry on the cake, and it will help you in each step in your life. So please do not underrate communications. It You have to absorb communications, include it into your daily lives, and make use of it maximum, whether it is writing, speaking, communicating in any medium, and we'll come to that slowly. I would like to begin my presentation with a very, very small story so that just to set a pace. So it happens like this. Once upon a time, there was a blacksmith and he was living in a village and working very hard. A new intern came to work with him to learn the trade. So he asked the intern to hold the hammer. And as you know, these blacksmiths have very big hammers with them. And he held a piece of iron which he wanted to be hit, which was red hot. And he held that with use of tongs. And he said that once I nod my head, you hit it hard with the hammer. So intern said, okay, I'll do that. So he held the tong held the piece of iron in the tongs using his tongs and nodded. The intern used the hammer in his hand very hard, and you know what happened. Next day, people saw that the intern was the main master blacksmith, and the master blacksmith was no more. Now you would be wondering what would have happened. Some of you may have guessed it correctly. When he nodded the head, the intern hit his head using his hammer and not the red hot iron which he held using the tongs. So there was distortion of communication and understanding. He said, when I nod, you hit, but he did not say what to hit. And that is the value of communication. People lose their lives, people lose their jobs, their livelihoods. Now, we'll begin this presentation with that. Now the story is over, we'll begin the thing. So the topic is, what is communications? How deep it is? How is it going to impact our lives? What is that it entailed? And how do we manage this animal? So idea is, this is an orientation thing. So towards the end of it, you can ask questions through SOBHA, and he will pose questions, and I'll try to answer most of it. I have seen in my past 24, 25 years, I've seen many engineers working with us in different companies, but most of them face a lot of challenges when they have to communicate. And that is what we'll also address in this presentation. Next slide, please. SOBHA, next slide, yeah. So basically, it is very important to first understand the cycle of communication, and what communication means and what is the cycle. Now everybody would understand that I know what communication is, but it is important to dive deeper and try to understand what does it really entail. Now communications is a process of sending and receiving information among people. Everybody knows it is basically sharing of information. Two people talking, a group of people talking, or one person addressing a group of people, so, or a group of people talking to one person. So all that comes under communication. Look at the cycle very closely. There are 4 elements there. If you are talking to a person, so you become a sender. Whatever you are talking, whatever you are trying to convey becomes your message. And if I am listening to you, or SOBHA is listening, or Nikita is listening, they become the receiver. So you are the sender. Whatever message or whatever you are trying to convey becomes the message, and the person who you are talking to is the receiver. Now you would feel that the communication is complete, but no, communication is not complete. If you do not pause and do not ask them for the feedback, or if they do not give the feedback on their own, the cycle is not complete. The same thing will happen, what happened to the master blacksmith. In the beginning of the presentation, you saw what happened. The master blacksmith was hit hard on his head and he died. So there was lack of understanding. So that is what happens. So this cycle of communication is very simple, but very profound and very critical to understand. You may say that I have sent an email, I have talked to him, but whatever you have talked, have you asked the person whether he has or she has understood it or not? Did you get a feedback? That is the critical part. If they don't give it on their own, it is the duty of the sender of the message to ask that what did you understand? Will you be able to do this job? So when you come to the job, when you join a company, whether government, non-government, whichever, you will be doing a lot of communication. Without communication, you will not be able to progress. But the moment you say something, and you don't ask for the feedback, and you don't know what the person is going, what he has understood, she has understood, then you're not sure whether the job will be completed in time and the way you want it to be. So these are the four elements: sender, message, receiver, and feedback. So feedback is most critical. There is another element which we'll see later, that the medium that you use, whether it is a WhatsApp, whether it's a phone, whether you are talking one-on-one physically, whether it is an email, whether it is a Facebook, anything that, or an SMS, those are the media, or the plural of medium is media. So those are the that is the medium that you use. If you use a WhatsApp, WhatsApp becomes a medium. So that is the platform. That also depends on what platform you're using. If you're using Twitter, you have a certain number of characters to use. You cannot exceed that. So that is the constraint of that platform. So sender uses the message on a medium to give the message to the receiver, and you need to take the feedback. Then the cycle of communication gets complete. Why I'm delving deeper into this is that this is the basic and the most fundamental thing about communication. If you understand this, you will never get defeated in life. Next, please. Now here you see the same cycle is there, but there is distortion. The same type of distortion that the master blacksmith did when he communicated, and he did not take the feedback, and he did not understand whether his intern has understood what he wants to say, and you know what happened. So what type of distortion happens? You are saying mango, the receiver is understanding tamarind, and you did not take the feedback. What will be the result? This is what happens day in, day out in our corporate entities. When you join a company, you will be expected to do a particular work in a particular fashion correctly. And these kind of distortions, and we'll see what kind of distortions happen and what can go wrong and how can we correct it. We'll see that in later slides. Next, please. Now see here. What do you see? There are 10 commandants standing, and there is a saint kind of person standing on the right side. So what is this? It says 10 commandants. Surely there is some mistake, O Lord. So basically, whoever has read Bible, or whoever knows the background of Christianity, they will understand that the man standing on the right, the old man, is Moses. And he is, if Moses is asking God that you please send me 10 commandments, instead of commandments, if he says, if God understands or listens, or Lord understands that he's asking for commandments, he will send commandments. It's just a matter of pronunciation, or you can say the way it has been put. So distortion can happen. Instead of commandments, some commandments will come. Of course, this is in humor, but this is to show that what can go wrong. Next, please. Now, in this picture, you see the two lions are waiting, and there is a zebra crossing, and they're talking to each other. So where are they? We have been here for hours, and not one damn zebra has come. So the lions are thinking that this zebra crossing is meant for zebras. The zebras will come and they can eat them up. But this is a distortion for them. The zebra crossing is not meant for lions. So this is a distortion for the lions. They have not understood. This is just to show that what is the message, who is it meant for, who is the target audience, what is that you want to convey, and how do you convey it. The two important things, what is that you have to convey and how you are conveying it. and whether it is conveyed well, you take a feedback. Then you can be laid assured. Next, please. Now here you see on the screen there are 5 essential components of communication. As we talked earlier, one is the sender, who is the originator of a particular message. He gives a message to the receiver, and the medium I already talked, and the feedback. This is just to reiterate what we have already talked. To summarize, that you have to keep these 5 elements in mind. And mind you, the medium also sometimes decide how and what message you have to give. Like if you're sending an SMS, you cannot send 10 pages of SMS. If you're sending using a Twitter as a medium, you cannot send endlessly, you cannot keep writing. But writing an email, you have to say what is that email all about, why you are writing that email, what is the purpose, is it going to serve the purpose or not. So each component here that you see on the screen, each one of them is very important. Who is the sender, who is the receiver, who is the target audience, who are you writing, why are you writing, what are you writing, how are you going to place it. This is just to make these things significant in your mind. Next, please. Now, there are 4 ways in which the common 4 ways that we communicate. Either we can speak the way I am speaking to you and you're listening, or I can send you a detailed email and a presentation and all, which Ashokji will share with you. That is the written word. If I send an SMS to you or a WhatsApp, there's a written word. Facebook, Twitter, whatever, those are written words. If you just see a picture, it's a visual images. Every time we watch a television, we are using audio visual as a medium to understand. And then there's body language. People may not say anything, but they can gesticulate. They can use their arms, their fingers, their hands, their feet, their limbs, their face, their eyes to convey a particular message. So these are the 4 broad, important, common ways in which human beings communicate with other human beings. Next, please. Now, in this image, you see a person is obviously drowning, and he or she is asking for help. But the person sitting near the swimming pool, he feels that she is asking for a bar of soap. So instead of helping her, he is giving that soap. So this is a kind of distortion. So because the person may probably be thinking that this is a swimming pool and it is not deep enough for a person to drown. So he feels that a bar of soap is what is required. But the person is holding a hand, the person who is drowning, so there too, someone is communicating something, but the message is not clear to that person. The receiver is completely clueless. So many factors can go wrong. And whatever good you may do, but if it is not aptly conveyed using the right medium, right message, it can go horribly wrong. Next, please. So here we'll talk about the distortions, that what are the different types of distortions that can happen. So if you see perceptions, we can have perceptions about people. Oh, this is bad, that is bad, this company is good, that company is bad, IT is good, real estate is bad. That is a perception. Like a real estate company, most of you may be joining real estate companies later. So the perception in India and world over is that real estate people are broadly, they have cheated the customers. Some extent that perception is right, but that is a perception. Most of them are not like that. But a perception is a perception. It takes years to build, and that is a perception. So that is whatever good a company may do or try to convey. But if a person is biased due to a preconceived notion, a perception which is hanging, then nothing can be done about it. Then the kind of language that you will use. Suppose I don't understand any other language, but I just understand a tribal language is called Sadri or a Chota Nagpuri language or a Santhali language. Or if you're talking to a Santhal from Santhal Pargana, and you are trying to communicate with that person in English, Hindi, Kannada, Tamil, whatever. So that is a distortion. The person, for that person, it is nothing. I don't know. He will feel, I don't know what you are talking. So perceptions, language, personal interests, emotions, what kind of words you are using. You may have interest in hockey. Somebody is interested in football. You are talking endlessly and that person is not interested. These are the barriers that will come. Now, inflection, use of emphasis. Now, take an example. For example, a simple sentence. Ram ate a mango. Now, there are three important words: Ram, ate, and mango. We are saying Ram ate a mango, but broadly, if you remove the word a, so there are broadly three important words: Ram, which is subject, mango is an object, and ate is a verb. So Ram ate a mango. Now, if I can say it like that: Ram ate a mango. But if I say Ram ate a mango, emphasis is on the word Ram. Now the meaning will change. If I say Ram ate a mango, emphasis again changes. Now if I emphasize on Ram ate a mango, so if I put emphasis, that is called inflection, on three different words differently, the emphasis, if you keep on changing emphasis on different words, the meaning will change because of the use of inflection. When we say Ram ate a mango, we are emphasizing that Ram has eaten the mango. Ram becomes more important. When we say Ram ate a mango, then mango becomes more important, that he ate a mango and not a tamarind. And that Ram ate a mango, emphasis on eating, then means eating, that doing work is becoming very important. He's not drinking mango, but he's eating mango. So this is the way, by using emphasis, one can change, and there can be a lot of distortion and in conveying and in understanding. And this is very important. Now, then there can be noise and people may not be able to understand what one is saying. There can be preconceived notions about, there are preconceived notions about religious, ethnicity. You say what is happening in America against blacks and whites, and blacks are fighting whites, whites are fighting blacks. There are already preconceived notions around racism. Then if you use long sentences and it is very wordy, by the end of this, like suppose there are five lines in a sentence, by the time I reach the fifth line, I will not be able to understand what is that you are trying to convey. And broadly, it will tantamount to being a very wordy sentence, and it will distort your message itself. So important thing is to bring aptness in communication. Now, attention span. Now, if you see a very young kid who is very restless, similarly these days, due to so many different distractions, we have mobile phones, smartphones, this gizmo, that gizmo. So we have become very restless. Our attention span is very flickering. It's moving from immediately we'll check our Facebook, then we'll go and check our WhatsApp, and then what is happening in LinkedIn, and can I tweet something, and what is happening in Instagram, have I posted on something on this platform, that platform. Our attention span keeps shifting. So there is no solidity, there is no thara over there, which we say that the attention span is so slippery. We are not keeping our attention span focused. We don't have attention span. Then there can be physical problems like hearing problems. So people may not be physically fit, they are not able to hear properly. And that can cause problems of communication distortion. And speed is, of course, one of the very important. If you say 300 words in 1 minute, then you see some of those ads that happen on the TV screen, and they go so rapidly that you don't understand what they're trying to say. So there is a way to pause and halt and make, you have to pace your sentences when you're communicating. Like if I go very fast, most of you may not understand. I still don't know whether I'm going very fast. So that Asoj and others will have to tell, because this is the speed, the normal speed that I communicate. But if I'm going very fast, I have to lessen that speed. Okay, am I going very fast?
No, sir.
Okay, next please. So these are the different distortion things that we. Now in this image you see what is happening. Read it carefully. So there is a queue, and the man says, "Gosh, I forgot my money. I'm such an idiot." And the receptionist says, "That's right, you are." And there is a code which says the customer is always right. So basically, the receptionist has been told by the company to follow a particular norm, and broadly, the company has given instruction to the receptionist that see that customers are always right. Do not cut them short. Agree with them all the time. Is trying to agree with him mindlessly. Here the customer is saying, "I forgot my money, I'm such an idiot." Here she had to apply her brain and use, and they say, "It doesn't matter, sir, it's okay." Instead of that, she's saying that you are right, because she's just blindly and literally following what the company is saying. So this is a good lesson for all of us to understand that we cannot leave our brains behind when we are working. We have to use common sense to the hilt. Common sense and logic is something that you have to always carry with you. Communication is nothing but common sense. Use common sense. Let's go ahead, please. Now, just to throw some numbers, you will understand these are very interesting facts. Yeah. So we are constantly bombarded with messages. The whole world is a cluttered world. There's so many ads, so many WhatsApp messages, so many Facebook postings and Twitters and Instagram messages and emails coming all the way. If you're active on social media platforms and if you're working, you're being every day you're bombarded. So there was a study done by a communicator, a communications expert called Mr. Warner, and he found that on an average, depending upon who you are and where you work and live, you are bombarded with more than between 5,000 to 10,000 messages a day. And it can be ads, it can be messages and emails and WhatsApp and hajar many things. And out of that, even if you take 5,000 messages, our mind doesn't have the retention capacity to accommodate and absorb all of it. So broadly, we can, it's an average is about 65 to 50, 60 to 65 such messages we can bleakly remember, that too with some difficulty. But we are constantly bombarded. So this is important to understand that there is a lot of noise out there, and we have to sift like a swan that what is correct and what is not correct, what is that is needed for me. So we have to constantly keep sifting from good and bad, what is required, what is relevant, necessary, and what is unnecessary. Next, please. So just I've taken one of the medium, which is WhatsApp, because I use WhatsApp quite a lot, and I think it is one of the friendlier. You can send messages, receive images, post this. So just to give you a hint that what kind of numbers are there currently today in today's world, you'll be aghast to know that there are 2 billion WhatsApp users globally. Can you imagine? 2 billion. The whole world's population is 7.8 billion. Out of that, almost about 26% of people are already on WhatsApp. Now, in every 2 years, about 500 million users are increasing, only people who are using WhatsApp. So on one medium, there's so many users are there. And you'll be surprised to know that 180 countries are using WhatsApp, and in 60 different languages. There are 65 billion messages are shared daily. On an everyday basis, 65 billion messages on average are shared. That means that there are 2.7 billion per hour messages are shared on WhatsApp alone. On WhatsApp alone, this is only one platform, and 45 million per minute, and that comes to 750,000 per second. Can you beat that? 750,000 messages on WhatsApp globally every second is being shared. Now, can you imagine the kind of communication that people are doing? And this is all the part of communication. This is just one platform. Next, please. Now, this is very important to understand that all this communication is fine. There is a barrage, there is a clutter, there is a people are going haywire, sending messages, receiving messages, trying to absorb things. But what is our retention capacity? Our mind, our time span, attention span are limited. If you are reading something intently, you will only absorb about 9% is the retention. When we hear something interesting, 18%. That increases to 27% if we see something and there is no audio. Like suppose you're watching a silent movie, about 27% of it you will remember once the movie ends. But 46% will retain, you will remember. Retention means you will remember. If you see something and also hear, like you are watching a television, you're watching a film, which is not silent. So about what? So what does this slide say? This says that if there is a judicious mixture of audio visual communication media, a use of audio visual, the retention among the target audience is the largest and slowly decreases. So going forward in future, audio visual is the medium to look for. That is why YouTube is so famous. It is and gaining popularity. So if you happen to tomorrow do management or get into marketing, if at all, then you will have to choose audio visual medium for conveying your messages, because that is the retention among the audience is the largest. Next, please. Now, very important to understand that how can we improve our listening skills. People just communicate, and communication doesn't mean you have to just keep on blabbering all the time. A good communicator is not who keeps on talking, shouting, sharing, writing all the time. You have to pause and you have to take a step back and listen. So listening is a very, very important component of communication. And how you can improve that by eliminating distractions. If you are listening to suppose BBC News, and if you have kept a radio which is blaring some music, then of course you will be able to concentrate on BBC News, because the radio will be a big distraction, or some Bollywood music is going on. Ability to concentrate. So you have to sift the noise out, block your thing, and concentrate on what you want to listen. If somebody is talking to you in office, and so your boss is talking to you, you have to listen intently so that you don't miss out on the important nuggets. Otherwise, he's saying that we have to plant a mango orchard, and you will understand that okay, we have to plant a tamarind orchard. So concentration has to be very important. Focus on the speaker. What is the speaker saying? And the best way is to look at the tip of the nose, so that don't go here and there. Look into the eyes, look at the tip of the nose, so that you're just focused on the eye to eye, and face movement. And then we have to maintain an open mind. We cannot be thinking about our food and our home and this and that when you are in a meeting. So you have to be 100% bodily and mentally present there. You have to also look for non-verbal cues. Sometimes when your boss or your seniors or your colleagues are speaking or sharing something, you will have to look for those non-verbal cues. That means about their body language. Are they open-mannered? Are they showing their using their hands, using their fingers, using their eye movement, using the is their facial muscle twitching? What are they trying to say? Are their eyes popping out, popping in? Are they showing expression of amazement, wonder? What is that they're trying to say? The non-verbal and verbal both together combined, you get the message. And then you don't have to react to emotive words. They may say, wow, wonderful, devastating, ruthless. Those are some of the emotive words which have a lot of emotion there. You have to just take it in your stride, because those emotive words are said by someone else, and it may not be as wow as he or she is trying to make it out to you. You have to make your own judgment. And you have to ask right questions, if at all. So if there is a question lurking in your mind, you have to ask that question just to clarify that whether you have understood. Is this the point? Can you elaborate more on it? And then you have to avoid prejudices. Your mind may be prejudiced, and you may not know. It may be biased, but you can avoid those when you are asking or listening to. You have to go with an open mind. Go with an open mind in a meeting. Listen to the colleagues, listen to the bosses, listen to the people around, listen to the industry expert, whether you're in a conference or a seminar or a workshop. You have to sit with an open mind. You take important notes, whichever is important. Ask for clarification if you are not clear. Ask them to illuminate, to elaborate, to throw more light up on it, or to illustrate that with an example. That will make things clear. And there's nothing wrong. Nobody is a holy Buddha or a holy sage here. So if they are sharing something important and you have not understood, towards the end of the speech or address, you can always request politely, sir, ma'am, I have not understood this. Can you please illustrate this with an example? Or can you throw more light on it? And he or she will be more glad to do that. I hope this is clear. Listening is very important. Listening is the most important component of communication. People don't understand active, then going forward in advanced classes and advanced workshops or in life, you'll understand what is active listening. That you have to actively listen and absorb and internalize and reflect upon it and then act upon it. A good communicator is one who allows others to speak, absorbs the thing, and then with a very sorted mind responds to it. It is not as if one who speaks longer, one who speaks louder is a good communicator. Next, please. Now, how do we improve our listening skills? People, you may go to a seminar tomorrow, or you are attending a conference. And there are a lot of things which can go above your head, or you are moderating something, suppose, or you are in a meeting, you are in an office setting. So, how will you improve your listening skills? Many people flounder here. Very important to paraphrase. What is paraphrasing? Like, suppose I'm saying something, I said for say 1 minute, I said something like the story in the beginning I told you about the blacksmith. Now, if you have to paraphrase that, you have to say, you have to restate what you understood in your own words. You have to say, did you, sir, say that once upon a time there was a blacksmith, and since he did not explain to his intern that this is what the intern has to do, and the intern misunderstood him, is that what you were saying? That is called paraphrasing. Second is summarizing. Like when something is being said for say 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and you have to summarize, whether you're writing notes or whether you have to say, then you have to summarize the key points. That the 3 key points were said in this meeting, or the speaker said 3 or 4 key points, and these are the key points. That is like pulling together the main points of that particular speaker. I remember when I was a young intern myself and working at FICCI at that time. I'm talking about 1996. And there was a very important meeting on some financial matters, which are very difficult. And there was a lady, one of our committee members, her name was Nainalal Kirwai, who later went on to work with very important corporates. And she is a Harvard educated lady, and we are very respected in the industry circles. And very complex issues were talked about. It was not easy to comprehend, and the conference went on for an hour and a half. And the lady, Naina Kidwai, she summarized it so well in say 3-4 points, and said in this past 1.5 hours, these are the 4 key points that were talked about. 1, this, B, C, D. That's it. So she made complex things simple and dished it out to the people. That is called summarizing. I still remember that because it was right in front of my eyes, and I could see a world-class summarizing exercise in place. So that the paraphrasing I told you, what is summarizing, gave you an illustration, made you understand with an example. If you have a question later, we can discuss. Last is questioning. You have to challenge the speaker or whoever is saying to tackle and solve problems. So you can question, sir, ma'am, I have not understood this. Can you, if it is this scenario, how are you going to solve that? So a polite question should not be intimidating. It should not intimidate the speaker. You should ask a question in a non-threatening manner. And that is the key. So paraphrasing, summarizing, questioning, by all these things, you can improve your listening skills. If you are actively listening, if you are actually listening, then you are intently listening about it, and you are looking at each word being spoken. and you are very careful in noting down that mentally. And you have a query, you note it down, you ask. And that is being highly appreciated by people who genuinely want to help you. Next, please. Now, I've just explained what paraphrase is, so you can try it out. Like, just to elaborate what I just said about paraphrasing, that paraphrasing is restating what another person has said in your own words. So when you understood something, somebody said blah, 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 blah. So you say, yes, sir, ma'am, you said this blah, blah, blah. Is that not correct? He says, yes, that is correct. So that is paraphrasing. So listen carefully to what the other person is saying, paraphrase often so that you develop the habit of doing so. Do not leave the room of your boss by just listening once. You give the feedback instantly. Sir, ma'am, did you say this? I have understood like this. Is it correct? That is paraphrase. That is a good habit. People will rate you higher. They will understand that the person is taking things seriously. Next, please. Similarly, summarizing, as I gave you an example, you must try it out. Try to summarize. Like there is a news coming on the television, you try to summarize in your mind. So what does it do? It pulls important ideas, facts, or data together to establish a basis for further discussion. So it is in your mind. Idea is to bring more clarity. You summarize it in your mind. Or if you have been asked to put it in front of a group of people, you summarize and dish it out to them. That the person summarizing must listen. But if you will not be able to do that, if you are not able to listen carefully, so active listening, carefully listening, and then only you will be able to organize that information and dish it out in a proper arranged manner. Next, please. Questioning, as I delineated already, as I outlined, there are two types of questions. One is a closed question, one is an open-ended question. What is a closed question? When you ask, have you eaten a mango? Yes or no? The person says yes. It's a closed or no. There are only two possibilities. Yes, I've eaten. No, I've not eaten. That is a closed question. Is your name Amar? Yes or no? That is a closed question. Open-ended is, what fruit have you eaten? Now the person can say, I've not eaten anything, I've eaten this, I've eaten that. It's an open-ended question. These two, broadly, these are the type of questions that are closed questions. Sometimes you may have to use both. Sometimes you have to use one, like closed questions, so that you need a precise, quick answer. Yes or no? Which one? Or when you are seeking an opinion, what do you feel about China trying to take Ladakh from us? That is an open-ended question. The question is that did you like this? Did you like dosa? Yes or no? You say yes. I know. Simple. So these are two different type of questions. These are very important. Though seemingly very easy and seemingly it may appear that everybody knows it, but it's important to refreshen these things so that in a, you should internalize it, so that in a daily rigmarole of your job and role, wherever you're working or going to work, you can use these tactics of paraphrasing, summarizing, raising questions to understand and reflect that you are a very sensitive, empathetic, responsible worker. Next, please. Yeah. So other helpful techniques to foster communications, both verbal and non-verbal. If you see on the screen, you should nod your head if you agree. You sometimes repeat the last word or two of the prior speaker. Sometimes you have to keep an open body position. You cannot stand with folded hands as if you're, that is a body language. It says that you are, or you cannot hold your fist tightly. So that means you are a closed person. You have to keep an open body position, like open hands. You cannot, with folded hand, if you stand, the people who understand body language, they'll understand that you are not open to the idea. To maintain eye contact, your boss is talking to you and you are looking at the sky. You're looking at a flying bird. That is not done. In a corporate world, you have to maintain eye contact. You have to make encouraging and positive statements. Repeat a sentence or part of one. Like if boss or the colleague or some senior management says something, it's like paraphrasing. Okay, did you understand? They may ask you, did you understand? If you understood, you say, yes, I've understood. And is this what you have said? Last sentence. So these are some of the helpful techniques, like by nodding, by having eye contact. You have to tell without saying anything that you are understanding, you are with them, you are being. Then they will take you seriously. If you do not nod, if you do not keep an eye contact, if you do not sometimes say positive things, or that the person is not aligned with the corporate world, and people spend years in getting this an experience. Nobody tells them, there is nothing, there is no guidance, and they learn by falling and by hurting themselves in the corporate world. And once they start learning, it is time has passed by already, and it's too late. Next, please. Now, there are 9 tips for effective communication. We'll take one by one elaborately, but just to summarize it quickly, that how it is important to express your thoughts clearly, express your feelings, put yourself in the place of other, and understand what is that person trying to say. Be a good listener, which we have talked about. To postpone evaluation. Don't evaluate. Don't be judgmental. This guy is right. This guy is wrong. This lady doesn't know anything. No judgment like that. Be open-minded. Go with an open mind. Avoid hostility if faced with you have said something and somebody raises a question. You may feel that the person is very hostile. No, you face that with an open mind. Focus on the issue, not on the person. Be flexible in changing the convictions. Assert with logic. You may have certain convictions, that this is right, that is wrong, it should not be done. But be flexible. If somebody has a stronger logic than you, if somebody comes up with a better common sense and explains to you, it is good, it is okay. If you have to assert something, you use that with the force of logic without combating. So it should not, there will be conflicts there, but you don't have to combat the person. You have to say your thing in a firm manner, backed up with logic and common sense. And think win-win. At the end of the day, you are a professional. You're going to be a professional. It's not end of the world. So you have to see that if it is helping my company, so let us not fight over an issue. Let us think about the good of the company, and then let us create that win-win. Let us see how it pans out, each one of it. Next, please. Now, if you, when we say express your thoughts clearly, so how do you express your thoughts clearly? Come to think of it. You need to organize your thoughts. Think through what you are planning to say. Sometimes you have to write down some points. You have to choose your words carefully. And then speak in listeners' language. Suppose the listeners are only Kannada speaking. You cannot reel off in English because it is no use. If the listeners are only English speaking, you cannot reel off in Kannada. It's useless. So, and clarity. What is that you are saying? Why you are saying it? So what is the key message that you want to convey? So you have to sometimes sift it in your mind, write it down, make use of the notes, and then convey it. So it's very organizing your thought process is very important. Next, please. Next, please. Yeah, you have to be also willing to express your feelings. Those who can express their feelings responsibly are good communicators. Mere venting of emotions in it. You may be sad, depressed, or you may be very happy. Just by that, I'm very happy today. You have to use the right words, right feelings in a right manner. It is, everything is in proportion. You have to move beyond merely exchanging data information. You're just reading data, some information, using your left brain, using all the throwing the data without explaining the data, without connecting the dots, without telling them why you are saying that, without taking them in your stride. It doesn't mean anything. So you have to, what is the purpose and all, you have to explain that. To be willing, express your feeling. This is my thing. This is why I'm wanting to share it with you. This is my purpose. This is this corona crisis has happened. It's a very sad thing. Lakhs of people have died, and this is a very this is not a joyous occasion. So that feeling of it is a very depressive feeling, but you have to express that with empathy. That is what is important. Like sometimes you will find that in television news, people have and the news anchor is smiling and conveying that message. It's not correct. That tonality, the facial expression should change. If there is a news which is of grief, the person should say it in a manner which evokes grief. It's a matter of happiness, you should evoke happiness, and that is very important to express. Next, please. Now, it's also important to place ourselves in others' shoes. That what is the person who is on the other side of the table, what is he or she trying to say? And there is what the need is for empathy. It makes us sensitive towards people and issues. And what is empathy? Empathy is the gentle manner in which we accommodate the person in front of us. We have to understand his or her point of view in an empathetic manner and not force only my thinking on them. Listen to them, understand why is that person saying, why is that person shouting, what is the problem, why is that person angry, why has he written such a nasty email, why is the customer so irate. These customers may shout, so they must be aggrieved. You have to listen to them empathetically and understand what, and then address it. So if you're truly present there and you're attentive to their woes, you understand and listen actively, then you will, a genuine empathy can come, and then you will be able to communicate in the same manner using the right words. So empathy is very important in communication. Next. Again, the same thing, to be a good listener. Only 10% of general population are good listeners. Most of them just don't listen. I used to have a boss earlier in one of the offices, and he used to not listen at all. He used to call us and just say blah, 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 blah. He used to not, once we said that something we want to share, well, no, I'm not interested. You write a mail. That is a bad leadership. Tomorrow you have to work with all kinds of good and bad leaders. You have to be a good listener. Tomorrow you will become a leader yourself. A good leader is one who can listen well. They are active listeners who listen with empathy, who listen with understanding. So that is a key. A good leader is a good listener. A good listener becomes a good leader. Next, please. Postpone evaluation. As I said, we cannot afford to be judgmental. Do not be quick in dismissing an idea immediately. Somebody has come up with a new idea. Don't dismiss it just because you don't like that person. Look at the idea itself. Maybe the idea has certain good things. Be an open-minded. Be a good professional. Don't judge. Just say, okay, let us see. Is there something to learn there? Maybe there is some good elements to learn. Maybe if you open your eyes, your mind, you may learn something. So important thing is to postpone evaluation. Understand the concept. The concept is important, not the person who has brought it. That comes later. So be open-minded. Do not be judgmental. That will reflect in your body language. Slowly people will understand this X, Y, Z. They are open-minded people. They are not narrow-minded. They do not come with preconceived notions. They are open-minded. They are flexible. They are willing to learn. There is a positivity there. They exude confidence. They are optimists. And company today needs these kind of people. Next, please. Now, avoid hostility faced with opposing views. Of course, in your journey in corporate world and other places, there will be people who will oppose your ideas. Sometimes you'll have to face opposing ideas. But that doesn't mean that they are hostile, or you don't have to be hostile towards them. You have to watch your body language, maintain your calm and composure. Do not handle opposing views with aggressive body language. Try to understand why they are saying something. What is their viewpoint? Why are they saying? Try to understand. Ask them questions. That why are you opposing this idea? Do you have a better alternative? Can you come up with a better plan at a lesser cost? Do you have a better quality program with you? And some of that, what they say, some of the elements you can incorporate in your view. If you're open-minded, you will be able to incorporate some of their better points. And in that process, you will be enriched. But your body language will reveal whether you are comfortable facing opposite viewpoint as well. And a good leader, a smart professional is one who goes with an open mind, is not preconceived that no, whatever I have said, whatever I do, whatever I have learned, that is the best and that's the end of the world, the last word on the earth. It doesn't work like that. There are smarter people, much more educated people out there, and we have to be on the learning path. We cannot say I know the best, that I know the best. In the corporate world, only those people will succeed who believe in we, not I, who believe in us, not me. It's a very important thing to understand. Please, next, please. Be flexible in changing convictions. Very easy to have our own convictions. I feel this is black, this is white, there's nothing gray about it. So that open-mindedness will come out. Important thing is to hear them out and see if as a learning experience from where some insights can be gleaned. So idea is to keep open-mindedness. Idea is to be flexible. If there is a smarter response, if there is a smart idea which has come on the table, don't shoot it just because someone else has brought it down. Learn from it. Look at it with fresher eyes, and that will take you ahead in life. Next, please. So be willing to confront. So that point which was about conflict is not something to be avoided. There will be conflicts, but idea is not to combat with the person itself. Idea is to not combat with the idea itself. There will be conflicts. Conflict doesn't mean battle. Conflict means difference of opinion. I'm saying something, you are saying something. Okay, let us sit and talk for the benefit of the company, for the benefit of the matter, for the benefit of the issue. And it can be channelized. Together we can create a win-win and we can come to a productive result. So there will be a difference of opinion, but idea is to encourage each other to come up with originality in the ideas. Idea is to look at the end result. What will benefit the company? What will benefit the nation? What will benefit the society at large? And if we have that as talisman, like Gandhiji used to say, that whatever you do, you keep the poorest of the poor as a talisman in your mind, then you will be on the right path. And this is not only important for us as individuals, also important for corporate entities. So for us, that if you are working in a corporate world, you are working in a company, or working for an NGO, you are working on your own, you are working in a government setup, wherever you are working, whether as an individual, as a proprietor, as an entrepreneur, as a professional, you have to come up with these kind of positivity and avoid conflict. Try to bring in accommodative stances in your life. Next, please. So end result is think win-win. And that is a way of life. That is a way of looking at things. Idea is not to say win, lose. I am the winner. You are the loser. I am always the winner. I always have to win. And if I lose, I'll commit suicide. No, it doesn't work. Life won't work like that. Never transcend win-lose mentality. Life is not win or lose. Nobody is a loser. Nobody is a winner. At the end of the day, we are all equal. It is just a matter or an issue that is at hand. And we have to think how best we can make lemonade out of lemon. You have always look at that this is an opportunity, it is a lemon. Now, some people will feel that it's just a lemon, what can I do with that? No, you can make lemonade out of that. Make lemonade, share it with your friends, drink yourself, make a sweet salt lemonade. That's it. Don't keep cribbing about the lemon. Of course, life, you guys are going to step into the corporate world. Life will throw many lemons at you. You have to think win-win and create lemonade out of that. You have to ask yourself if there is anything that can be done so that you and your adversary both can achieve your objective. There is no win-lose. Let us do something where both of us go home together. You heard a story where that tortoise and that rabbit has a race, and the rabbit goes to sleep and the tortoise wins. But the extension of that story is that the rabbit is very sad, and he comes to the tortoise and says that, can we have another race? And this time the rabbit is clever and careful. He doesn't go to sleep. He finishes the race and emerges victorious. And then the tortoise goes and is very sad and tells the rabbit, let us do another race. And this time I will choose the path. I will choose the distance and where to the race path. And the tortoise cleverly threw a river in between that the goal post or wherever they had to reach. So the rabbit ran fast and reached till the bank of that river and waited. The tortoise went there slowly, and once it reached the bank of the river, it swam across. But before swimming, it told the rabbit, look, I can swim and win the race, but I don't want to do so. You have won once. Let us do win-win. You climb on my back and I will take you there, and both will go and reach the goal post together. And that is the win-win. So next, please. Yeah. So some of the current issues that Ashokji shared with me and said that these are some of the points that you guys are agitated or difficult for you, or these are some of the challenges. Now I'll just take one by one and elaborate on it and try to explain in my own way. Now, importance of writing good emails. I cannot emphasize more that you have to learn to speak well, clearly, articulate your thoughts, and you have to learn writing skills. You may be an ace engineer, but you cannot become an ace leader unless until you incorporate good communication skills. And without writing well, without speaking well, without thinking positively and in a correct manner, you will not be able to get promoted and rise faster in the corporate world or any world. Even if you are an entrepreneur on your own, communication is that critical. Without just suppose if the ability to speak or convey, I am speaking to you guys. Suppose with an ill luck or misfortune, if my ability to speak to you is taken away, and I'm not able to suppose speak, God forbid that should not happen, but suppose that happens, then what is the use of my knowledge or experience? I may be a very knowledgeable person, but I'm not able to speak to you. I'm not able to write to you. I'm not able to convey to you. So you may be a very good engineer, no doubt about it. You have done your courses, you have passed your exams, you have done your finishing with Prayojana, fine, very nice. But if you are not able to communicate what you are doing, what plans you have, what you have done, which projects you completed, how well you completed, what are the highlights of how you have to, what is the point? Nobody has time these days to actually go and physically check and then approve. Very few people do that. But it's a time-taking process. Now, in most of the CVs that I get, it is bereft of any cover note. People just send the CV without a single word. They just send it. They don't even say, please find my CV attached. I'm looking for a civil engineer's job. I'm looking for a graphic artist post. So nothing they write. Most of the CVs that come to me, and I pity sometimes that they just don't have the basic understanding. You cannot send CVs like that. That it has to be accompanied by a cover note. Most of the CVs I find are full of mistakes. Not a single paragraph is there without punctuation errors, without proper composition. English is horrible. You cannot get a job without proper communication abilities. Nobody will hire anybody who cannot communicate well. Why will they hire? They are not sitting there to do philanthropy. So the important thing is that it is incumbent. It is important that we have to learn how to write error-free, how to use punctuations, write short sentences. There is no need to write 5-line sentences, compound sentences. So importance of writing well, speaking, listening cannot be overemphasized, just cannot be overemphasized. It is critical to your progress in life. So communication is the key differentiator. If there are two engineers from say same university, same college, similar background, and one who has carefully nurtured himself to become a good communicator, and one who has left it to the imagination of the HR person who is going to hire, or the head of the department who is going to hire. Who do you think will be selected? So communications becomes a key differentiator. You That is very important to understand, and you have to get away from stereotyping yourself and herding yourself with only engineers. You must read history, you must read art, you have to develop an interest in religion, like philosophy, read हजार other things, listen to different you, I have seen many engineers finding, seeking solace with engineers only. To mix up with other people, mix up with people who have studied history, mix up with people who study philosophy. Talk to them, learn, read those kind of books, read, watch films, listen to those kind of stories, listen to those kind of news. Take interest in other dimensions. Otherwise, your whole brain will not develop. We are all humans, and we are first humans and engineers later. And it is very natural for humans to communicate. So if we do not develop that ability to communicate like good human beings, then whatever we may be, an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, will not be able to dispense our tasks appropriately. And that is an important factor. And I was told that it is very difficult for some of you to say no. Of course, it is a difficult thing. Everybody faces it. But the best way to say no is that you should have a solid reason to say no. Your boss has asked you to do something, and how will you? So you can say politely no with firmness, giving a logical reason that look, you are already working on some priority issues, and he himself has asked you to complete that, and today is the last day they are working on it. So a polite no, and you have to remind the person that you are working on priority area, and after finishing it, you will complete that. So that will be appreciated. So you have to say no at times. Next, please. Now, importance of writing well, again, cannot be stressed more. Strong writing skills are visible. You can differentiate yourself from others by learning how to write flawlessly, by learning how to write in good English. And the best thing is to write short sentences, 5, 6 words in one sentence, not more than that. Idea is people do not get impressed. Deep people, solid people, they do not get impressed by lengthy sentences and use of bombastic words. People who write simply, people who use right words, people who use easy words which are easy to comprehend, those kind of writings are considered to be high class writings. The target audience, the TG, is most critical, and your writing should be tailor made to them. Your target audience is like, suppose, women of villagers, and you have to address them as a leader. You are looking at some CSR projects that you have to work for them. Now, if you have to talk to village women, they are your target audience. What kind of language you will use in speaking? Or if you have to write a mail to them, how will you write? So you have, if you have to write to a suppose MNC, a CEO working in an MNC for a job. Now, what kind of language do you think you need to put very difficult words? He will be impressed. A 5-line sentences, he will be very impressed by looking at your compound sentences, which doesn't make any sense. No, just be yourself. Just write simply that this is what your background is, and you are very interested to work with them. This is what you have found about their company, and this is what excites you, and these are the value adds that you will bring on the table. That's it. Simple things spoken simply, delivered simply, makes a difference. And it is very difficult to think simply these days, because we ourselves have created an ecosystem around us with so many different gizmos and jing bang and social media that everything has become so complex and distorted. So remove all the clutter, clear your mind, become simple again, and come back to the brass tacks. And you have to place the most important thing first. When you are writing, you do not start from, like if you have to plant a mango tree, do not start with a jungle and then the orchard and then on. Come to the mango tree straight. That a mango tree is needed and we have to plant it. And why it is needed, say that. and then go to the orchard and then expand, then okay, this will be in this village and that thing. Just to give an example. So you have to also respect the reader's intelligence and time. You cannot go on and on and on. You have to understand what medium you are using. Are you sending an SMS? Are you writing a mail? Are you calling him up? How senior he or she is? What are you that you are trying to convey? So you have to respect his or her time. And brevity is the key, which I said. You have to bring aptness there. And go on and use lengthy sentences using very difficult words trying to impress the person. Nobody gets impressed by all this. This is considered to be complete verbiage. So idea is to put simple things simply. Avoid acronyms, jargon. Even in my company and other companies, I find people writing using acronyms. SQL, this, that, as if everybody understands everything. To expand that, you unnecessarily, like, what is a jargon? Now, like if a medical student is writing to a lay person, if he uses very heavy words, schizophrenia, amnesia, will not be able to understand. Those are jargons of medical. If he is or she is writing to his superior, then it is okay. But you are addressing the common man, lay people. Will not, if you if we start using due diligence in this, if you're writing to your colleagues, same group, similar type, you can sometimes. But if you're addressing another type of people, then jargons and slangs are highly avoidable. So those are some of the areas that you have to keep in mind while writing. Next, please. Yeah. The importance of why is very critical to bring in early in your communication. Bring in your why early in your communication. We always focus on what and how. What is that I have to say? How I have to say? But we forget the why. Like, for example, a boss comes and tells you, Amar, I want this in another 1 hour time. Well, Amar is working on XYZ project. The boss doesn't explain to him why is this more important than that XYZ project. And he just say, Amar, I want this in 1 hour's time. Amar will do it, but he will be wondering that what is this nonsense? I'm working something else and suddenly I'm being asked to do something else. So it is incumbent on the boss to say, why does he want this in 1 hour's time? Why is it has suddenly become more important than the work that Amar is already doing? Or Amar should ask that boss, why is this suddenly become more important? That why part, if you say that why part, it will be easy for the team to align with that purpose. It brings clarity. The purpose becomes clear. And that Amar can work faster on that, realizing that, okay, this is more important than what I'm doing. Let me do this first. It motivates people. It helps in rallying them behind you. So what and how is important, but why is critical, more important. So before we write anything, before we convey anything, if we bring the why before, people will understand, okay, boss is saying this or Amar is saying this because this is the reason. Let us first leave everything else and let us focus here. It adds value to the persuasion that you are doing. It becomes very persuasive. And why do we communicate? We communicate to make the other person understand my point of view, our point of view. And if it adds a layer of persuasion, what is wrong in that? That is my objective. Next, please. So this is my last slide in a way. So if you see this picture and the speaker is saying, what does it say? I need 3 volunteers for an attendance committee. And there's only one person sitting. He's reading out. He needs 3 volunteers. Where will 3 volunteers come from? So it is that context has to not be forgotten. The big picture, the common sense, the logic. He may have prepared a speech or points, but if there are no 3 volunteers, why is he saying that? It's complete distortion. It's useless. So these are the basic tenets of communication, and this is just an orientation. This is like an ocean. You keep diving deep, deep and deep and you have to keep learning new things. It's a practice will make you perfect. Keep on going and going deeper and exercising, using it in your daily lives. So my presentation is over, but the question answer can continue, and I'll be happy to address any of your concerns. Was it clear to you, Ashokji, and all the friends? I don't know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It was very clear and with pictures and a simple language you have explained nicely to the audience. And it's now for the audience. If you have any questions, you can unmute your mics. You can speak. And I have few questions later once audience are
Yeah,
done. Yes.
yeah, of course.
Yeah. You can speak, Nikhil. You can speak. This is communication presentation only. You can speak.
Yes, sir. Hi everyone. Good evening. So my question is it more important to be a good listener or a good communicator?
Yeah, so it's a very good question that you asked. It is not either or. A good listener is a part of being a good communicator. If you go back to what I said, listening is a very important component of communication. It's like building, it's like asking a good building is important or a good cement is important. A sack of good cement is a good cement is a component of that good building, right?
Yeah, right. Yes. Yeah,
It's
got
like
it.
that.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the audience? Nikhil is basically from Hyderabad. Hyderabad, na you are?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He is from Hyderabad. And any other questions?
Hello, sir. This is Nikita again.
Yeah, please.
It was a very good informative session, and I really liked about the story on win and win concept. And my question is, how to make a good impression in the group discussion. Anyways, in future years, we have to attend an interview and we have to go through group discussions. So, how to make a good impact on ourselves in that discussion?
Yeah. So on group discussion, first thing is you do not try to make an impact. The people who try to make an impact, there are observers who understand that X, Y, Z is trying to make an impact. You don't need to try to make it. You just make an impact. And how you do that is first you try to understand what is the topic of group discussion. If you understand the topic itself well, then you have to internalize that topic, close your eyes, understand what are the dimensions, whether you have to speak in favor or you have to speak against it, and what are the points, what are the logical things, and in my presentation I told you about summarizing. A good group discussion person is one who understands and listens to what others are saying. I also talked about conflict, that there will be conflicting issues and others will raise those issues. So you have to be able to summarize and sift it in your mind that, okay, X is saying this, Y is saying this, Z is saying this, what is my original thinking? The moment you come out with your original thinking while summarizing that, okay, is climate change good or bad for the world? Like suppose this is a group discussion topic. Now, there will be some people who will say, of course, it is bad. Climate change is not, and it is happening due to environmental degradation, blah, 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 blah. And some people will say, no, but progress is important. Industrialization is important. How do we progress? If we do industrialization and this is all hogwash. What is your thinking and can you back it up with a strong logic? Use common sense. If you are original in your logical dispensation, your job is done. You have made an impact. You don't have to try to make an impact. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. And so one more question is, we'll be having a conversation with our boss, and some topics which we'll not be knowing, we can't express this directly. So how to politely tell that we are not familiar with the topic, and then get some time to know about it.
Exactly. Very good question. Nikita, in that, of course, there will be many instances. Your boss may assume that you know XYZ things, but you are not, you are a fresher, you don't know. So in that, I told you about paraphrasing, I told you about summarizing, I told you about questioning. You
Yes.
can politely raise a question. Boss, this is a very important task that you have given to me. but I'm sorry to tell you that right now I'm not prepared. I do not understand this. I have not gone through it. Will you be able to throw some light on it? Can you illuminate this further? Can you elaborate it? Can you give us an illustration? Can you can you explain this issue with an example? And there's nothing wrong. If a boss is a good boss, if he's a good leader, if he has a stretched mind, he will be very happy to do so. If I have an intern and somebody tells me, boss, I have not understood what you, so it is incumbent on me. I will feel shy that how can I say something to be done if the person has not understood. So it is incumbent on me to make that person understand that what is the task that is in hand. What does it entail? What does it mean? So all good bosses will understand that, and there's nothing to be afraid about. You can ask them that I have not understood this I have not understood it. Can you please throw some more light? Can you explain it to me with an example? Can you illustrate it further? That's it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Understood.
Thank
Yeah, Praful, you can ask the question. Praful? Sir, how can we avoid the fear of interview? Praful Soni.
Yeah. So how can you? So first is this is an eternal question. We're all afraid of interviews. We have been afraid of interviews. But if you look at interviews as a process of engagement, interview word itself is very intimidating. It has the connotation that you are going to be grilled by somebody. And that is the notion that you have to throw out of your mind. That if you keep telling yourself that I am going to meet a new set of people or a new person today, and I'm going to speak to him, I'm going to talk to him or her, I'm going to know the person more. So never treat an interview as a grilling session. First, the battle is in your mind. It is a bad understanding that your interview is today, your understanding is that I will be grilled, you are at the receiving end, a volley of questions will be thrown at you, and you may know some and you may not know, and the person will judge you. It's nothing like that. A good interview and a good interviewer is one who keeps the makes the interviewee at ease and allows the person, or rather facilitates the person to come out with her best, so that the person can be hired for the abilities he or she has, not for the fears, so that not to be rejected for the fears or the nervousness that they have. That is not an interview. So the onus of conducting a good interview rests on the interviewer. But having said that, I also want to add that there are good interviewees also. And how do that? Like suppose I talked about open-ended and closed-ended questions. Generally, interviewer will ask you an open-ended question. Tell me more about yourself. Now, this is a deadly question. It is an open-ended question. Tell me about yourself. Now, this question is an eternal question, and it foxes many seasoned people as well. Doubt comes in mind. Where shall I begin? Shall I talk about academics? Shall I talk about my internship? Shall I talk about my whatever little experience I had? Shall I talk about my parents? Shall I talk about my school first? Where do I begin? So a good interviewee will be one who will begin from a point of strength. Like suppose if her academics was good, she will start with academics and will end it at a point which will throw up another question for the interview. So he talks about his academics. I passed this, I did this, I went to this school, this college, and I completed this. And I finished my course at Prayojana. So the question the interviewer will deliberately ask you a question about Prayojana. Then you talk about Prayojana. Okay, at Prayojana is a finishing school where we are taught about, it's like a bridge. It works as a bridge between the industry and the academic. It prepares us for the real world. And this is what we learn there. and during the process we have done these field trips, and you end at field trips. The interviewer is bound to ask you a question on field trips. Then you talk about field trips and take the interviewer to say your experiences, which are your other strong point. What I'm saying or trying to say is that a good interviewee can lead the process of interview, can actually lead the entire process of interview in his or her favor. And that is the hallmark of a good interview session. So the first thing first, throw that stereotype thinking from mind that interview is a grilling session. Interview is not a grilling session. You are going to meet people, they're new people, they may be a little older people, they may be a little more experienced people, and they are not either judging you or they are not testing your skills. They are just seeing how you manage the stress and how confident you are about whatever you know and how well you can maneuver your way. As I gave you an example, from academics to Prayojana to field trips to experiences, and then you talk about your parents slightly, and then you end up with your hobbies. This is you. It is you who has to chart the way, not the interviewer. Is that clear?
Praful, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello, sir. This is Nikita again. I have one more question.
Yeah.
Sir, does all the profiles requires communication in a project? Like, is there any profile without much communication?
So it is not about whether a profile is communication is required in a particular profile or not. Communication is not something you cannot do, but you can do without. Communication is it's like ghee in milk. Can you separate ghee from milk? You cannot separate sweetness from honey.
Yes, sir.
Similarly, communication is embedded in everywhere. It may not be spelled out in a job profile or in a job description. It is understood. Is it written that you have to be a good human being in any job description? But to be a good human being is a necessary, essential part to get a job. And what does a good human being mean? That you should not be a thief, you should not be a rapist, you should not be a robber, you should not be a murderer. You should just be a good, average human being. Similarly, communications is something that will not be written, but it is expected out of you in every job. Whether it is a cleaner's job, whether it is a civil engineer's job, a doctor's, a lawyer, anything, without good communication, can you imagine any job? And communication doesn't mean only using words and some emails and bhasan baji and all that. Non-verbal communication, gestures. Even dumb people have to use communication. The moment a child is born on this earth, it starts communicating. It starts crying, it needs milk, it needs attention. And by crying, it is trying to communicate to the mother that, look, I need this, I need sleep, I need milk, I need this, I need that. So without communicating, can you imagine any activity in this world?
No, sir.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir, it answers. And one more thing, can you give some good examples on body language? How to carry?
Body language is a very important aspect of communication because time was short, and so there's so many things. As I say, it's like an ocean, you cannot. But I'll of course talk about body language. I did touch upon it. There is something called open mannerisms and closed mannerisms. If you stand in front of people with folded hands like this, it is called closed. You are conveying a message that you are closed. You don't want to open up. This is body language. If you are talking with open hands, that is an open mannerism. These are verbal cues. If you are looking at a person's eyes, looking at the person's tip of the nose, you are talking to the person. If you're looking at the sky and talking to the person, you're ignoring the person. The person is speaking to you and looking at a bird. You're ignoring the person, and it's disrespect. That is body language. So body language should be not rigid. It should not be like a attention, like an army people. It should be relaxed. It should be normal. It should be eye to eye contact. There has to be, you should not clench your teeth in anger and your facial muscles are very rigid. It should be just normal, just relax. Bring peace and harmony in your mind. And your body and your language and the language that it will reflect is all a reflection of the mental state. If you are angry in your mind, your body will reflect that. You will clench your teeth and you will clench your fist and you will be angry. Your eyes will pop out and anger will be there. But if you are in harmony, you are in unison with your body, mind, and spirit, you will reflect that. It's all about the state of mind. All open mannerisms are like when you're talking or giving a presentation, you have to use your hands openly. You cannot put your hands in your pocket and talk. That means you don't know what to do with your hand. Use your hand, that is to express well. Hands, God has given us hands to add to our expression. It helps, it aids in our expression. Does that
So,
answer?
and is it a good sign of expressing?
Yeah, not don't use more than the required. If you're always using hand only, there are two ways to look at it. People who do not have the depth of or a large vocabulary or a sufficiently large vocabulary to conduct or express what he or she wants to do, and he's constantly using hand to sort of this that it is it is evident that the person is trying to use hands instead of words. But if there is a judicious mix of words, vocabulary, expression of hands, usage of hands, limbs, eyes, twitching of facial muscles, this should be working as an aid to what you are saying. It should not work counterproductive. It should add value to what you are saying. It should help in emphasizing a point, not doing it overly, but not under doing it also. Doing it commensurately is a judicious way to do it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks.
Any other questions from the audience?
Sir, I'm Dhanand Dharapur.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sir, I have some few questions which I have written. Sir,
yeah.
how can a fresh civil engineer can become a good communicator in his new job?
Yeah, so the whole presentation was on that. So
Yes, sir.
you have to, if Ashokji has recorded it, you have to take that link and listen to it carefully. And that presentation was, I know that you are a civil engineer, and my purpose is to tell you was to that you have to also be a good communicator to become a very good civil engineer. So anyway, so if I understand your question correctly, Dayanand, you are saying that how can a civil engineer become a good communicator? By doing all that I have suggested to do, isn't that? But there is no one line answer for that. You have to practice all the good tenets of communication.
All the presentation he has to follow.
All the tips that I've given you in this presentation. Were you there throughout the session? Did you listen carefully?
Sir, I'm there.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, I have written
Yeah.
everything.
So
I have the
if
presentation also. I will share with you.
yeah, you Ashokji will share the thing. You have to listen to it. You
I
have
will
to,
tell you.
slowly you can nurture yourself. It's like nurturing a plant. In one day you will not become a good communicator. You have to listen to news, you have to read passages, you have to read things and develop it slowly. It's like nurturing a plant, and it takes years before you become a tree. But the process has to begin early, as early as possible. And many civil engineers who work towards it become very good communicators, and they become CEOs and managing directors, and they live very well, and they add value to the company and to the society at large, and is very important.
So one more last question. I'm really sorry.
Sorry,
Uh,
I love questions. Throw it.
Do you follow any rituals before any presentation or any speech? Like I addressed you before, and I was pretty nervous. Do you follow any rituals to do before presentation or anything like as such?
Ritual, you mean remembering God?
No, not like that. Just meditating or like going through the main key points to tell or something like that.
Yeah, of course. I was working on this presentation since morning. I spent some few hours on it. Like I have a belief that for every hour of presentation, you should prepare for 5 hours, which I put in today to bring it to your notice. And because you guys are future of our country, you are the young budding engineers, you will go to different places, and communication is, as I said, is like sweetness in honey. You cannot take it out of your lives. Communication is something you have to embrace it fully. So it was important for me to work towards it, and that is the main ritual, that it is not talking in thin air. You should have your facts clear. And another most important thing is that I believe in what I say. I have practiced that. I have been there, done that, and I continue doing it in my daily life, corporate life, professionally, and in personal life. So I can say that with conviction. It's not that I've read it in books and I'm dissing it out and I don't practice it. So that is the only ritual, that I believe what I say and I say what I believe and I do it and I practice. And of course, over a period of time, if you have done it, like if you have been making dosas for years, you will be pretty confident that, of course, next time there is an opportunity to make a dosa, you will make a good dosa, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
That is the ritual, that you have to nurture that, keep on doing that
Practice
continuously.
a lot on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you,
there
sir.
is one question from Sabarish Selvam from
Right.
Chennai. Negotiation skill for people working in procurement is very important, but how can one negotiate with suppliers who is much bigger than you firm to get what you want? Means
Yeah.
both are having a different levels, and how can he negotiate?
So the first thing is to understand that while negotiating, it doesn't mean you have to negotiate from the point of a strength. My understanding about negotiation is very simple and clear. You don't need to be negotiate from the point of strength. You don't have to be larger than the supplier to negotiate. Negotiate doesn't mean beating the supplier down to the least price and somehow extract blood out of it. That is not negotiation. Negotiation means bringing, as I said in my presentation, creating a win-win situation. There is no conflict or combating. It is not company versus supplier, supplier versus company. You are in a procurement team. While on the one hand, it is incumbent on you, the responsibility rests on your shoulders to bring the material at the least cost. But at the same time, it is responsibility rests on you to bring the right quality material. You cannot procure bad quality cement, bad quality bricks, bad quality concrete or adhesives or other things just because somebody is giving you at least price, or a supplier, or you can beat down the supplier from 100 rupees to 10 rupees. The moment you bring him down from 100 to 10, he will make sure that he will give you the worst quality possible. And if you use that worst quality ingredients to make a building, you know what you will make. So procurement and negotiation doesn't mean you bring in the least cost ingredients for the company. That will be a disservice to the company. In my opinion, idea is to research more about that particular product in the market, domestically and internationally. Find out more details. Bring the data on the table. Can I get 1,000 sacks of cement from, say, Peru or from Malaysia or from India domestically, which will come to me the best quality? I am not compromising on the quality, what is required, unless and until the management says that you have to bring the worst quality. Then there's no point working in such companies. So if you are asked to procure something like, suppose, cement or whatever, or a steel bar, and if you're asked to go ahead with given a free hand, naturally you will procure the best quality. But then the best quality parameters have to be set by you by doing the research. what is required. You have to get in touch with the quality QST people, quality people, that what is the quality of product that you require. That, and then the brief has to be sent to XYZ suppliers. The data has to be brought on the table, and that data you have to deep dive in the data to find out that which company is giving what quality of material at what price, and if you are buying bulk, what will be the price. And once all that is done, then you start negotiating with each one of them, and you have to tell them that if they give good quality each time, every time, for a long number of years, then, and if this is the best price, and whenever there will be a price correction, and you are ready to look into it, and you are willing to have a long-term standing relationship for the sake of long-term supplying ability, or a client, any supplier will like to deal with that and not drop that client ever. If I'm a supplier and I come to know that this supplier this is going to last with me for years, why will I not strike a deal which is the best in the market? Of course, I'm there for making my business and my monies. You are also making money, he's also making money, you are in a business, he's in a business. The best is to create a win-win. And the best win-win is done only once you have all the data from all the possible companies, domestically or abroad, on the table, and you have had one round of talks with them. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. One more question is there.
Yeah.
People are eager in asking a lot of questions. So,
Yes,
how
okay.
to avoid panic like nervousness while addressing a group of people or superior officers while giving the presentation? You have to practice. That's it.
No, so if you are confident about your subject,
Hmm.
if you know your subject well, then of course initially there will be some nervousness, and some nervousness should be there. There's nothing wrong in being nervous. If you're a little nervous, if there are few butterflies in your stomach, it is good for you, because you're on the edge and you're on the tenterhooks, and but the important thing is to prepare. If you prepare for 5 hours, for 1 hour of address, you're done. If you have to give a half an hour of presentation and you are a beginner, you prepare well, invest time, find out the facts, look at it as a third party layperson, and think like where are the questions that may come from. Look up everything today. In these days, Google Baba is there. You just deep dive and find most of the answers there. And you can talk to your seniors, you can talk to the company peers, you can refer to the books and reference material. So if you are confident about your subject, then you can face any question. And even if there is a question which comes there and you don't know, there's no harm in agreeing and saying that, sorry sir, I at this moment I'm not aware of what the answer will be, but this is a very good question. Let me get back to my desk and I will find out and will get back to you. And I'll write a mail with a response. Nobody is expecting you to be the holy Buddha all the time. We are all humans. So you have to be confident of your deficiencies, your limitations. So being nervous is normal. It's okay. You have to be nervous to some extent, but do not let nervousness hang over your head so much that you are unable to speak on. Prepare well, and presentations are there, slides are there, and you don't need to write lengthy sentences in the presentation and just read out like a parrot over there. If you know the subject, those points are there, those bullets are there to spur your thoughts. You have to come up with detailed illustration or dive deep, share anecdotes, share stories, talk around your experiences. Do not read out like a parrot, blah, 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 blah. That is not a good presentation. You have to add value at every nugget, at every point. But of course, you will be asked to speak, if you are a civil engineer, you will be not asked to speak on quantum physics or what is the cycle of transmigration of soul or some philosophy or Vishnu Puran. You will be asked to speak about what you do. So if you are doing it well, and if you are diving deep, you are referring to material, you are doing a judicious work, open-minded, you will do a good job. What is wrong about it? Unless until you throw yourself in a swimming pool, well, how will you learn? Of course, you will make mistakes. So, big deal. Everybody makes mistakes.
That's it, sir. From the audience questions, my question
Yeah.
is: people think that the communication is a stressful job, and they are getting a few people. I understand they get some opportunities in the construction field. After then, they think that the communication is more. That's why they are afraid to take those jobs also.
Yeah. So, communication is as stressful as any other job. So, important thing is to, as I said, you have to know your animal. Like if I'm afraid of dogs, I have created a bias against dogs. But if I try to know dogs, dogs are lovable creatures, and most of you may have pets with you. So it's like knowing your dog. So communication, like civil engineering, medical science, quantum physics, space science, teaching, anything, you have to know your area. More you know your area, more you deep dive there, more you will fall in love with that subject. And once, like if you are only an engineer, you cannot take up a communications job in a company, because you have not gone through the rigmarole of becoming a good mass communicator or a communications, or you have not done a mass communications course as such. Like if I'm a communicator, if I'm working in a communications department, I do not know about civil engineering. And if you expect me, if I suddenly start wanting to become a civil engineer, can I become a civil engineer? I'm
No.
trained to become a civil engineer because I have not invested my time there. I've invested my time in communications. So I have my classes, my training, my mental makeup has been in communications. I may be a civil engineering, but then I later on train myself in communications as well. I deep dive for a year or two and change my orientation, learn new things. That is a possibility. Then you are an engineer and a communicator, which is quite a good possibility. I can be a communicator by training, but I can learn engineering. I recently completed a advanced diploma in business management. And I tell you, there was a paper which you guys may have also studied, quantitative techniques, QT. And it was such a big hawa over there. And there were Markov chain and assignment and transportation and LPP, linear programming, all these engineering courses and mathematics there. And I left mathematics in class 10. So initially I was afraid and nervous to how will I tackle it. But then once I had put myself into it, then I went into YouTube, I learned, I self-trained myself. I learned everything. And thankfully I wrote that exam well. I got B plus in that particular paper also. So what I'm saying is that if you learn something, you train yourself, everything is possible. There's nothing, what is a big deal about being a communicator? And what does engineering or medicine or communications or journalism or mass communication or history, geography, physics, chemistry, biology, what do they teach at a BA, BSc level or MA, MSc level? That gives us a basic orientation to think. And beyond that, people then learn. There are many doctors who become IAS officers. Now they have learned medicine, but they don't need to ever apply medicine in their lives later. There are many engineers who become IAS officers, IFS officers. They go and work in foreign affairs and become diplomats and ambassadors. They deal in India, China, India, Pakistan issues. So what does engineering teach us? It teaches us it gives us an orientation and helps us to think in a particular analytical way. What does history, civics, geography, political science teaches us? It tells us a particular way to think. That's all. There are many engineers who does management courses and they become whole brain. While doing an engineering, you are trained to think from your left brain only. That is why many engineers go ahead and do management courses. Because in management, you are taught to use your right brains, where things are a little subjective and creative and different. It is not always logical and analytical, which the left brain does. That is why a good engineer, once he does a good management course, they become whole brain, and they can use their left and right both brains, and they are called whole brain, so they can see the objective as well as the subjective. So just to give you an example, which is a part of another, I'll just tell you how a techie thinks. For them, an object becomes paramount for them. And I'll give you an example, that most, like, if they have to, if you ask a techie, an engineer to write something, the way they'll write, I'll just read out two lines. A 6-inch screwdriver with 6 mm width was used to tighten a screw 8 centimeter long into a plywood which was 10 centimeter thick. Now, this is written by an engineer. Now, a humanities graduate, a arts background guy will not never write like this. A 6-inch, 6 mm, 8 centimeter, 10 centimeter, not like. An engineer thinks for them an object becomes primary. The Ram eats a mango. Mango is more important. They will write passive sentence. Mango was eaten by Ram. That's the way they think. So that is the issue that I am trying to say, that in your later in your life, when you are going to become senior, and when you are becoming head of the departments, and when you are becoming CEOs and MD, you will become only if you start using your right brain more often. You have to read widely, become more right brain, and which will make you a complete human. Other, suppose you become an MD, you have an engineering background, and you have to address a group of women in the village, talk about CSR. How do you talk? Those are the issues that we can take it up in another webinar later.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have overshooted the time also. Lot of I have not estimated this much questions comes from the audience, and
Yeah.
they the program, they loved it, and they put nice comments on the chat box. I will send the script also what the conversation happened, and they filled up the feedback form also. We bothered you
Thank
actually.
It was
Still,
my pleasure. I always love to interact with young students, and I love their questions. It is important for me to share what I know with them, and I have no false pretension that I know everything. The whole world is out there. But yeah, if it